Greetings gamers, I'm Gav. Welcome to another Path of Exile lore video. Today we'll be covering Act 7, but as a tradition with this series, let's first quickly recap Act 6. After our failed attempt at dealing with Kitava, we're rescued by Sin, and set sail on Lily Roth's boat for Lion Eye's watch. Sin tells us that in order to stand a chance against Kitava, we must empower and use the Dark Ember, the seed that birthed and brought the beast to life. To power it, Sin needs the essence of the Godless Three, Shavron of Umbra, Maligaro the Inquisitor, and Doedri Darktongue. Malachai's assistants were released from Nightmare, back into Rayclast, along with the spirits of many other gods. Our ultimate target in this act is the essence of Shavron. We work with Sin and Lily, as well as some other familiar faces from Act 1, Bestel and Tarkly, who tell us that Nessa is missing. Within the Mudflats, we obtain the Eye of Conquest from Karui that returned to Rayclast. We also located Nessa in a pool of water here. She was made a prisoner of the Brine King and turned half fish. Using this Eye of Conquest, we entered the Karui fortress and took down our first god, Tukohama himself. We learned the lore behind the members of Expedition League, Gwenin, Tujin, Rog, and Danig. We also finally took Johan, the King's Hand of Kalgur, up on his offer, and visited the newly founded King's March. Climbing Shavron's tower, we located her and a reanimated Brutus. Taking the pair down, Sin obtains the essence of Umbra. One down, two more to go. As we continued searching for Nessa and the Brine King, we take down more returned gods, including Abarath and Rislotha. Finally reaching Mervale's caverns, we find Nessa one last time. She instructs us to use the black flag at the peak of the beacon to summon a ship to ferry us to the Brine King's reef. We follow her instructions and summon the one and only Black Crest, manned by Captain Waylem Roth, Lily's grandfather. The spirit of Waylem assists us via transport to the Isle. From there, we finally manage to locate the Brine King's lair, only to find that Nessa set us up. She's completely under the spell of Soagoth and lured us here as a celebration feast for their wedding day. Another fishwife fallen victim to the Brine King. We take down the massive crustacean and, unfortunately, Nessa along with him. Waylem remains bound to us, and after seeing how we handled ourselves against old Soagoth, is completely willing to be our chauffeur. We make way for Frisia on the Black Crest. After our arrival, we speak with Waylem.
What'll I do now? This here broken bridge speaks to me some. A fair place to rest my old bones for a bit. And tell you what, with all this sunlight and fresh air, I can feel the calling forth of the poetic muse beneath me trousers. Been a long time since I felt this here compass point in any direction. Now, speaking of navigations and the like, a long time ago, I had me a nice collection of riches stuffed away in a lockbox. Being the stupid ass that I am, I buried the thing one eve when I was high in my cups. God for the death of me remember where except I knew it was near this broken bridge. The box has a silver locket in it. It holds the portrait of my late wife, Meredith. It's the last thing I have in this world to remember her by. If you happen across my lockbox in your travels, I'd be appreciating of its return.
We ask what happened between Mervale and him.
It's a bit of an embarrassing affair, truth be told. Thought I could return to the golden days, you know. Be a terror of the high seas like in my youth. Problem was, they'd all forgotten me. Those young blighters sailing about, they had no clue who I even were. Figured if I could complete another great feat, like slaying that sea bitch Mervale, maybe that'd earn me my respect back. Suppose I don't need to tell you, that girl is stronger than she looks. All it took were one slip of the old hands, and next I knew, the Black Crest wrecked against the coast, and I'm getting myself eaten alive by that hag. Peeled each separate muscle from my bones, she did. I tell you, it weren't pretty.
He had this to say when we told him about Lily.
I know Lily be missing me something great, and it cuts me deep not to go visit the lass. Thing is, I reckon she should remember me as I was, not retch at the sight of the spectre I be now. Let the legend live on in her mind, I say.
We inquire about Pondium.
Think of the worst place ye can imagine. That's Pondium. Now think of the gods be damned best whorehouse you've ever had the pleasure of. That's Pondium. A pirate paradise full of bodies to stab, holes to fill, and devious liquor to imbibe. Brine rots control the whole island and make sure it lives up to the lowest of expectations. Can't imagine much has changed since I was there last. Still, it's a good place to swashbuckle and make love to a bawdy, buxom bunter out back of a boozy bar.
We ask more about the Brine Rot clan.
Aye, them Brine Rots be a nasty bunch. Led by me very own flesh and blood, me baby sister Lucy. The Rot Mother, they call her now. Used to be that I were their leader, back when the Brine Rots were about one thing, and one thing only, raiding, pillaging, and plundering their scrawny black guts out. Old Lucy were me first mate, for years. But she got her whiff of the power that being captain could gain her, and mutineered me own sister. Dropped me on some deserted island off the coast of somewhere. The bitch. Took months to make it back to the mainland. That Brine Rot clan's been trouble ever since. Used to have some good old-fashioned pirate on 'em, and now they're raving mad lunatics out for their next fix of fear and fortune.
Sitting on the broken wall next to Whalem is Sin.
Judging by that rather curious ship and its aberrant captain, I imagine you had rather an interesting voyage here. Now, Inquisitor Maligaro. We must have his soul. He has most certainly returned to his old haunt, yet his manifestations are like wisps on the wind. There one moment, gone the next. While I am familiar with the phantasmal trails and tributaries that filigree this reality, Maligaro's exact whereabouts eludes me. You should speak with these desperates who cling to this broken bridge, that young Templar scholar in particular. Their mundane knowledge must provide where my enlightened sapiens cannot.
We ask him about the origins of the gods.
There was a time before the beast, bathed in the shadows of lost memory, when men and women like you could ascend. Through rareness of quality and the adoration of their people, these few could reach out into the quickening mists of immortality and grasp the power of godhood. Mind you, transcendence is never easy. Like the pains of childbirth, it reeks of agony, tragedy, and sacrifice. The sacrifice most often being of one's humanity. That is simply the way of it. Those of us who seek the immortal throne live long enough to see ourselves become truly monstrous.
Across the broken bridge, further into the encampment, sits an old friend, Aramir.
Ah, yes. You do seem to have a penchant for presenting yourself when times are at their most perplexing. It would seem that our Almighty has forsaken us. False deities from ages past now rise and ravage, while our blessed innocence remains as silent as the stones at my feet. So much for Templar propaganda, eh? Well, I suppose if we are to fend for ourselves, then I should answer your troubling arrival with our own most pressing tribulation. The relic that washed ashore and started all the chaos. It was covered in ancient Vaal inscriptions. The symbols were much weathered, making them challenging to translate. Yet I did my best. The inscriptions spoke of the god Ralakesh. If this object somehow housed the spirit of that many-faced monstrosity, then I fear we are all in danger. Ralakesh was renowned for his penchant for subjugation and control. Please, I urge you to destroy this god before his strength and dominance grow insurmountable. Nip this divine threat in the bud, as it were. Our poor friend, Grust, has likely become Ralakesh's avatar in this world. At least his recent behavior would indicate as much. If you could see to Grust's passing, Ralakesh will be forced to retreat into the relic. Destroy the relic, and perhaps you will also destroy the god.
We ask him more about Ralakesh.
Yes, Ralakesh, the god of many faces. I read about this god when I looked after the museum in Theopolis. It said he was obsessed with governance, in particular the control of humanity through our base animal instincts. He ruled over the citizens of one unfortunate Vaal City. Alas, the name escapes me. Yet I do recall that his experiments brought his subjects to the brink of extinction, and that he was forced to enslave many a primitive Asmerian of the time so as to repopulate his domain. Though I shudder at the thought, I can only imagine that Ralakesh has rather similar plans now. It started with a few mumblings in his slumber, then long forays into the wilds, searching for relics of a distinctly arachnid nature. I thought it a natural extension of Silk's eccentric persona at first. Then came the sleepless nights studying those relics, the fevered recitations in broken Vaalish, the strange 8-phase rituals. Then one night Silk gathered his collection and scuttled off into the darkness without a word. Silk has always been susceptible to fine fictions. Perhaps he has finally shunned reality altogether.
He speculates on Walem's existence.
A fascinating case that flies in the face of all that is natural. Walem is undead for sure. Something we have in spades in Rayclast. But a sentient, reasonable ghost? Now that is rare indeed. When we talk, I feel as if I'm staring into the breach, witnessing that which man was not meant to know. I have theorized about what animates the pirate's essence, how he manages to manifest on this earth once again. I think I shall compile my observations and speculations into a book. Yes, Eramir's Elucidations of Undeath. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Next, we speak with Yena.
You arrive. The Great Spirit spoke in my dreams, told me that darkness would again drown our lands, and you, Exile, would walk before the flood. But what is this? You are not alone. A shade, a memory, older even than... No, older than spirit? Fear grips my throat. I shake, but the spirit drapes a warming cloak upon my shoulders. This ancient ghost that follows you, it has the trust of the spirit, and if the spirit trusts, then I trust.
We ask her what happened to the Forest Encampment.
My heart weeps for our old home, but what the spirit gives, we must embrace. The spirit, it claims who it needs to, when it needs to. There is no sense in sadness.
She tells us more about Silk's disappearance.
I watched Silk for many days, scurrying to this old Vaal stone, scurrying to that old Vaal ruin, always muttering. He talked and talked and talked, yet I heard no one answer. The spirit warned that I should stay away from him. It pained me. Silk is my friend, yet I must listen to spirit. I go from Silk's side, and now he is gone from mine. I do not know where Silk go, but I see him in dreams. He is caught in great spiderweb that stretch into darkness. And that spiderweb, it is full of bones. More bones from more people than I ever see in my life. If you find Silk, please, free him from the web. Don't let him become bones like the rest.
Yena speaks about the return of the gods to Rayclast.
Rayclast has changed. Once, I knew my place in this world. I knew my place within the spirit. Now, doorways have opened. doorways I can neither see nor touch, but through which the spiritless ones pass all the same. The spiritless ones must be driven back. Their doors must be closed. May the Great Spirit guide you in your battles against these ancients that mean us nothing but ill.
Lastly, she speaks on Waylum's presence.
I belong to no one but the Spirit. I have no need for the sweet words and caresses of a ghost. Waylum, he makes me laugh, and he hears the voice of the Spirit. Not in the same way I do. His Spirit speaks of the great waters beyond this land. He pays heed to the Spirit, and the Spirit loves him for it. I do not. It is better to speak to the dead than no one at all. Waylum knows the Spirit, but he will not know me.
Standing beside Yena is Helena. She speaks on the changes that have taken place within Rayclast, and provides us with some insights on Maligaro.
Turn your back for the barest moment and Rayclast bites you in the proverbial. I imagine that's how you're feeling upon visiting us this time. It's how I feel about now. I'm afraid that the Inquisitor's spirit has indeed returned to the Chamber of Sins. Yet while you won't encounter Maligaro by wandering his halls, I do perhaps know how you can find him. Whilst investigating the Fellshrine, I learned of the existence of a map, forged by Maligaro from his own viscera. This map allowed him to transfer his spirit into another form of existence, an existential safe house to which he could retreat should death ever attempt to take him. Understanding the map's purpose, Vaal tried to destroy it, to no avail, so he locked it away deep within the ruins of Freesia Cathedral. Find that map and place it upon the Reverie device in Maligaro's old laboratory, and when you step over that threshold, expect the very worst.
She tells us to come to her if we need weapons.
I'm aware that you and Groost had something of a commercial relationship prior to his accident. As is the Asmeri custom, Groost's few possessions have now passed to me. I'm by no means the warrior he was, yet I know my blades and bows well enough. At least it's something I can do to honor his memory, and to keep my mind off things.
We ask her thoughts on Waylum.
Don't get me wrong, I've witnessed many unsettling things in my lifetime, but a spectral corsair living next door to me? We reside in dark times indeed, when the living need share their quarters with the dead.
Helena tells us what she knows regarding Silk's disappearance.
I didn't think it possible for Silk to grow any more peculiar, but then I've been wrong about so many things since coming to Rayclast that I shouldn't have been at all surprised. Still, it's interesting that his behavior of late has mirrored that of certain Templar zealots I had the dubious pleasure of meeting back in Theopolis. Like them, Silk appeared obsessed with finding answers to this reality in some ethereal realm of divinity. For my part, I prefer to keep faith in this world. The answers that come from beyond are seldom the ones we want.
We ask about Groost.
My poor Groost. A kind man. A strong man. And now, I begged him not to meddle with that relic. It washed ashore after the earthquake, and Groost simply had to know whether it was a danger to us. To me. The unholy thing within that device. It possessed Groost, turned him into a monstrosity. We fled the village, and as I turned back, I saw he was killing them. The stragglers, killing them all, even the children. My Groost is dead. That thing that has stolen his body. Please, destroy it.
Before heading out, we double back with Sin and Waylum. Sin provides us with more information on Ralakesh.
Let us go hunting. This time amongst the ruins of an encampment most familiar to you. Once inhabited by your friends, the Asmeri. Ralakesh. He's ruthless and cruel with cunning unfathomable. Yet he bears one defining weakness. A fear he forged into chains of his own keeping. His is the terror of grasping too much, and having it all slip through his fingers. It makes him irrational, and therefore vulnerable.
We ask him more about this Master of a Million Faces.
Ralakesh, the illustrious Master of a Million Faces. I call him the god of hide and seek. While other deities waged wars, spread their seed, and laid waste to whole empires, Ralakesh perched on his throne in a dark palace of ebony, choked with incense, blinded by obedience, and deafened by a senseless cacophony of brass gongs. Thankfully, he never had the courage to peek over the high walls he built, else the world might have been in trouble.
Since we've heard their opinions of him, we ask Waylem his opinion on Aramir, Yena, and Helena.
Aramir? Oh, he's a tad dull. Tends to ramble on a bit. Still, he's a few interesting stories of his own, so might be worth chewing the fat with from time to time. Yena's a pretty young thing, ain't she? Bosoms to eclipse the sun she has. Might be that I spent some time here. Get to know the lass a tad more. Never mind that she's young and alive and I be, old and dead. Once she hears me poetry, that is. Not a girlie alive who won't want for a bit of the old rot tooth once he breaks out the, tongue twisters and word plays. Not that she'd likely hold much interest in an old ghost like me. Still, a man can dream, even a dead one. Ah, that lassie. Pretty on the eyes, I reckon. But she's got her knickers pulled up far too high. Bit uptight, if you ask me.
As we begin to leave the camp, we notice an odd explorer standing near their tent here.
Thank the gods. You're no saint, I can see that. Though, who am I to question what form divine providence comes in? I am the great Alva Valai, reliquarian extraordinaire. A seeker of mysteries, explorer of the unknown, lover of all things that glitter, and I need your help. The lost temple of Atzoatl. Halls lined with finery, boxes stuffed with glimmering riches and relics touched by insurmountable power. For eons lost to history, until now. I believe the secret of its location lies in the Vaal City, which until very recently was submerged and completely unreachable. But with all that's going on, the city has risen from the depths and, well, it's still completely unreachable. It seems the only way to even get close is across the river, and the only crossing is overrun with bandits. I've a plan that could make both of us unbelievably wealthy, but perhaps one day.
We'll meet her later in this act in the Vaal Causeway. We exit the camp and enter the broken bridge. In this area, we fight through skeletons of risen bandits, as well as bear-like monstrosities and vultures. Directly in the center, we find a ruined building. In one of the corners of this building sits an old, dirty lockbox. Inside is the silver locket that Waylem spoke of. We continue following the road of this zone until we find the entrance to the Crossroads. We cut through more aggressive forest acolytes, as well as skeletons and vultures here. Following the broken road, we locate the waypoint. To the north is the Chamber of Sins. Far to the west is a sealed-off entrance to the old Fortress Encampment, which is now controlled by Groost, who's possessed by the spirit of Ralakesh. We first head south and enter the Fellshrine Ruins. In search of the Fellshrine Crypt where Maligaro has hidden his map, we make our way through necromancers and their undead. Spiders and sentient statues attack us as well. There was no lore or any objects of interest here this time around. Far to the east, we locate the crypt. We step inside. Various skeletons, wraiths, and spiders block our path through the halls of this crypt. To the southeast, we find another trial of ascendancy. The bronze monograph reads,
"Fear gnaws at the entrails of the faithful and the faithless alike. Fear of the unknown, fear of the future. An empire requires leadership that can assuage those fears through example, through wisdom, through strength. An emperor lights the way through the darkened caverns of uncertainty."
We enter the trial. Past rotating spiked pillars, more wraiths and spiders, we make our way through this deadly maze. At the end of the trial, we hear Azaro once more as we touch the Ascendancy plaque.
Shine boldly, so that all may find you when the night falls.
We take the portal back to the beginning of the trial and finish exploring this level of the crypt. Far to the south of this area, we locate hidden stairs to descend further in. This level contains more spiders, skeletons, wraiths, and even aggressive spirits. Finally, far to the southwest of this lower level of the crypt, we locate Maligaro's map, hidden inside their container of sins.
Touching this makes me feel quite strange.
We teleport back to the Bridge Encampment. From there, we use the waypoint to take us back to the Crossroads, where we travel north and enter the Chamber of Sins. Working our way towards the center of this chamber, we slay every spider, necromancer, undead zombie, and skeleton, as well as experiments of Maligaro that we pass by. In the center of the room near the ancient reverie device, we find Silk.
Hello to you, great dreamer.
We speak with him.
We have woven a tale together in days past. Perhaps we shall again. We make mighty stories, you and I. And now I have daunting task before me, the last in my great journey. Near to us, cast in shadow, a monster awaits. Black Death is his name, a beauteous eight-leg, twisted grotesque by the master of these loathsome halls. I wish to give this eight-leg the merciful peace he deserves, and to save what is still beautiful, the elixir that only Black Death can make. Please, will you find him? Kill this Black Death. Take the eight-leg's venom for me. I may be fearsome warrior, but Black Death's master has made him into a thing more monstrous than even I can best. Who knows? Perhaps Black Death is too strong even for you.
We ask more about Black Death.
I have climbed the great eight-leg web. I know the eight legs like no other. This eight-leg, this Black Death, is one of the oldest and most fearsome eight-legs in all this land and beyond. To its shame, it was made pet, plaything by the malicious master of this place. For years countless, it grew in pain. Pain is all it knows, all it can understand, all it can give. End Black Death's pain, for all and once.
Silk fills us in on this journey of his.
My great journey led me to places of great power beyond even your stories, great dreamer. I am carried on legs and webs and shadows. That is all you can know for now.
Sitting beside broken pillars is a large book, Maligaro's Manifesto. It reads, "My interest in this world is dwindling. Most children begin their lives wide-eyed, amazed at what this world has to offer. I have always been different. Since the day I was born, I've been searching for the new, the surprising, that which disturbs both senses and mind. Oh, to be an artist. What a lamentable task. Not seeing the world as it is, but as it should be. Peace is the worst of it. A disgusting state of stagnation, fit only for the weak and vapid. War, confusion, terror, love, and passion. These things are the closest the world gets to being interesting. And alas, I have felt them all. Yet all of these pale in comparison to the delightful chaos I have envisioned for this poor, dull world." We access the reverie device and insert Maligaro's map. When activated, the machine whirs to life and produces 6 portals, each of which takes us to Maligaro's Sanctum. We choose one and step through. It's very reminiscent of the beast's bowels. This putrid place is covered in foul creatures and abominations. We explore every corner of Maligaro's visceral abode. Finally, far to the northeast, we locate the entrance to the Inquisitor's workshop. Waiting for us in the center of the room is Maligaro. As we approach him and begin attacking, he suddenly vanishes and reappears to our right. Maligaro summons forth Black Death. Black Death was resurrected and repaired by Maligaro through the use of this mechanical apparatus. After whittling him down a bit further, he disappears again and, to our surprise, summons Fetalitis. Now out of pets, we face and defeat Maligaro himself.
That's 2 for me, artist, but who's counting?
Sen descends from the skies to retrieve this essence. We pick up the venom of the Black Death and speak with Sen.
Our brutal construction nears completion, and now only the wretched Dodri Darktongue remains. Unlike her compeers who, in undeath, have yearned for the familiar, Dodri appears drawn to the old wounds of calamity. The cataclysm took San and left much that a parasite like Dodri might enjoy. I shall meet you in San, where I hope you shall make swift and bloody work of that foul hag.
Teleporting out of the Sanctum brings us back to the Chamber of Sins.
The Black Venom! O great dreamer who has done great deeds! I shall see to it that my queen rewards you with honor and mercy when she rises up to claim what is hers. Yes, this elixir, so aged and potent, shall be life-giving draught that she sips upon first waking. It is my gift to her, my wedding gift. Great dreamer, you will be wrapped in silken finery and made welcome at our wedding feast, guest of honor. And oh, what a feast we all shall enjoy.
Silk provides us with the obsidian key, Maligaro's key. Using this, we dispel the barrier blocking our entry to the next level, and ascend the stairs deeper into this chamber. More spiders, undead, and experiments of Maligaro line these hallways. While exploring, we located another trial of ascendancy. We read from the bronze monograph.
The path to justice is slender and perfidious, fraught with missteps of ambition and despair, egotism and doubt. Should you choose this road, beware those who would waylay your hopes and disembowel your dreams. Remain sure and remain true.
Entering the trial, we find saw blades lining the walkways of each path. We relatively easily pass by each and enter the plaque room.
There is a fine line between consideration and hesitation. The former is wisdom, the latter is fear.
We take the portal back to the beginning of this trial and explore the remainder of this level of the chamber. Finally, we come to Maligaro's laboratory, where we rescued Helena in Act 2. Now that we have the obsidian key, we use the exit that Piety took. We use the secret passage and enter the den. Quickly grabbing the waypoint here to return later, we port back to the Bridge Encampment to catch up with everyone. We return the locket to Whalem.
Me locket! Oh, me darling, me beautiful Meredith. How I miss your shuddering bosoms, your quivering thighs. She had a heart to melt an iceberg, and teats the size of a... Ooh. Well, anyway, I thank you greatly. Please, whatever else be in that lockbox, take your pick from it. This locket be the only treasure I need.
We speak with Aramir regarding Silk.
What? He's intending to make matrimony with Arakaali? My word, that's quite a story even for Silk. Yes, I know that name, and the place to which it is purportedly attached. A temple to the north, now in ruins. If Silk intends unholy congress with this Arakaali, that is the most likely place we would seek it. Unfortunately, Arakaali's temple lies beyond that which now belongs to Ralakesh. To reach the many-legged goddess, you must first draw to some conclusion with the many-faced god.
He tells us more about Arakaali.
From what I can recall, Arakaali was a Vaal fertility goddess, a rather unsettling union of sexuality and mortality. Whilst usually presenting herself as a large arachnid, Arakaali would often assume human form, a ruse intended to lure mortals into the act of copulation. The entries were vague about the gender of her prey. After satiating her carnal desires, she would then quench her divine thirst, draining her erstwhile lover of all bodily fluid. Her acolytes would then collect the desiccated husk and give it a decorative placement in Arakaali's unholy temple. I fear that Silk knows not the true nature of the marriage he so desperately seeks.
We speak with Yina.
What you tell me of Silk, this I understand, though I do not want to. I have spent many nights pondering Silk's journey, why he has stepped from the spirit path. Now I know. He has walked into the 8 arms of blind lust, Arakaali. Silk is a warning to us all. He is trying to take the short trail to greatness, to the story Spirit has made for him. Silk tries to steal his story, but now he holds only a lie. Please, you must find the place where this Arakaali sleeps in her web of shadow. You must stop Silk before he wakes her, a mistake that we all will come to regret. The Spirit tells me this is so.
She also tells us more about Arakaali.
I have asked questions of Spirit, and it has answered in dreams that wake me with screaming. Arakaali will suck all life from this land, leave only empty husks and dusty bones. There will be no spirit, no us, no thing left to love and laugh. Only husks and dust and Arakaali.
And finally Sen tells us his tale of Arakaali.
A temptress and a predator. Vaal legends say she crawled up from the blackest of pits during the creation of the world. No, her beginnings were far more mundane. A mortal harlot whose endless lust for loin and lecherous delight saw her transformed into the very image of her dark desires. The Spinner of Shadows, they once called her. She sees herself as a regular goddess of love, and has the romantically forged temple to prove it. That's where you'll find her. Yet there's little romance to the lady herself. At least, I doubt the corpses that now embrace her carapace would think so. Answering the call of a royal invitation, I visited the Spinner of Shadows as an emissary for a small and fragile alliance of gods. Mostly weak deities huddling together in terror of being consumed by their greaters. At this time, Queen Arakaali ruled an empire, and so invited me to gaze upon her mighty works with appropriate wonder. If I'd looked past this pretense, I may have chanced to see her hidden desire to have me share her bed. For years I lay trapped in her webbed sheets. Some days she enjoyed my prowess. Other days we enjoyed each other. Yet this illusion of love and leisure simply veiled the morbid reality that I was not free to leave. I languished under her bewitching spell until the day the spider was betrayed by her own flies, and sealed within that temple of her own fevered making.
We thank Sen for all the knowledge on our next big target, and return to the den. In the caverns that once housed the great white beast, we find a necromancer that has raised the bones of the beast. We take them down and explore the remainder of these winding cave tunnels. To the northwest, we locate the entrance to the Ashen Fields. Thick smoke fills the area. We make our way through monkeys, rock elementals, and more forest acolytes. Following the road to the east towards the Forest Encampment, we find a shrine adorned with severed heads, an ode to Ralakesh. It reads, "High Lord Ralakesh, I am but lowly outlaw scum, yet you, a god of 1,000 faces, have looked at me and deemed me worthy of your cause. I've offered willingly my flesh and blood. You shall now have my thoughts to use as you see fit. I only ask that you let me serve forever as one of your holy claws. Allow me to bring the light of your belonging to this whole bloody continent. My greatest desire is to see your ancient kingdom remade, and your enemies cower at your feet." We enter what is now the Fortress Encampment. Atop the fortress walls, we see the possessed Groost, standing with their spear, prepared to fight. As we enter, he lets his bandits and followers attack us in an attempt to weaken us. Finally, after destroying them all, Groost, Lord of the Forest, jumps down and attacks us. We put him in the dirt. We speak with Sen.
When you try to control everything, you ultimately control nothing. Ralakesh has never quite been able to grasp that concept.
I wonder if this means Helen is available. Best leave that be.
Exiting this encampment to the northern forest, we grab the waypoint and return to the Bridge Encampment. We speak with Whalem.
I be missing me granddaughter something terrible. You know, I used to tell Lily bedtime stories till she fell asleep in me arms. She loved the ones about Kishara, a tough-as-nails Vaal lassie, said to have explored every coast, cove and bay of this blasted continent with the help of her star. Some nifty artifact she nabbed from somewhere on her first voyage. Young Lily, she were fascinated by Kishara's star. Said to be fair humming with thaumaturgy, able to guide its mistress wherever she be fixing to journey. Methinks me granddaughter liked to imagine that one day she'd hold the star in her hands and explore the outer reaches of this world. Oh, I'd dearly love to see her again. But there ain't no way of making that journey with nothing to show for it. She looks up to me, does Lily. So, I'm reckoning that star might put a smile on her pretty face. With such a gift in hand, I'd maybe have the guts to go visit my granddaughter instead of skulking here like some craven ghost. That's if some kind and brave soul fetched it for me.
He tells us more about Kishara.
Legend has it, Kishara got herself in some hot water with a certain Queen Adziri. Details are vague as to exactly how, but by all accounts, Adziri were the most understanding of lasses. Kishara, being the free-spirited sort, probably just pricked the royal arse with some spiky facts from the outside world. Almost lost her head for her trouble, Kishara. Adziri took her ship and made sacrifices of her crew, forced the poor girlie into hiding. Still, Kishara being of a wily inclination like myself, she slipped through Adziri's talons and right out of the Empire. But before she left, Kishara hid the star somewhere near the Causeway that leads into the old Vaal City up north, just in case she got caught, I suppose. Something like that in the hands of a tyrant like Adziri. Who knows what trouble she might have found with it.
Sin tells us about the next god on our hit list.
Into the most dreaded of thickets you must go, I'm afraid. For there Gruthkol the Despairing sulks and schemes. The Vaal laid waste to her kingdom, and placed her slaughtered children at her feet. Grief enveloped Gruthkol, transformed her, flooded her mind with a singular thought, to share her suffering with those who had murdered her daughters. Though she has returned, her sanity has not. There is no fury like a mother bereaved.
We ask more about Gruthkol.
I wonder if Gruthkol would still grieve for her children if she knew the truth. The Spinner of Shadows had no aspirations until Gruthkol's daughters plotted against her. They saw her power over the people, her miraculous potions, her intoxicating lusts. They feared Arakaali, thought she might threaten their legacy. Yet that's the curious thing about spiders. They only leave their web when you force them to.
We speak with Eramir about slaying Ralakesh, and he also has information on Gruthkol.
You truly are a hero of the modern age, succeeding where even the ancient Vaal could not. I must say I'm really quite relieved. For a while there I feared we were headed towards another theocratic dictatorship. Exile allowed me to be free of one. I had no wish to experience another. You deserve to be rewarded for your efforts. Here, something with a little insight would suit your purposes nicely. Yes, I know of Gruthkol, the grieving mother. She featured quite prominently in some of the Vaal texts I restored during my time at the museum in Theopolis. After the deaths of her children, Queen Gruthkul fled north, eventually finding respite amongst the refugees of her own shattered realm. Yet these loyalists saw their own queen as a weapon, a tool for vengeance. They nurtured her pain, transfiguring sorrow into hatred, hatred into violence. Like a grizzled bear, Gruthkul descended into animalism and ferocity. Yet her caretakers foolishly underestimated the agony their bereaved queen harbored in her heart. Like a bear caught in a trap, Gruthkul wrenched free of her human loyalties and slew her followers to the last woman and child. Through devastation, Gruthkul ascended to divinity. Gruthkul's pain has transcended ages, and she will vent that pain upon any and all she encounters until her grief is finally laid to rest.
Next, we tell Helena of our defeat of Ralakesh.
Yes, I thank you. Though I loved him, I know Groost was lost to me the very moment he touched that Vaal abomination. I will weep over his passing for many more nights to come, but I am happy that you avenged his honor and freed him from his torment. There's an Asmeri shrine tucked away in the northern forest. Groost took me there, told me it was a memorial to those who had gone before him, a place where their spirits could rest. When he passed, he wanted his remains to be laid to rest with the bones of his people. His body, I find it difficult to even think about it, but I doubt it will ever be recovered. Yet there might still be a way. He gave me his necklace, the fangs he earned when he rose from boyhood to manhood, handed it to me for safekeeping only moments before Ralakesh. It's almost as if he knew what was to come. Please, could you deliver this necklace to the shrine for me? Put Groost's spirit to rest? I would do it myself, but the journey to the northern forest is not what it was. These lands have changed, and not for the better.
Yena had this to say about Groost's passing.
Groost hunted too far from the lands of spirit and fell prey to a spiritless one. I am sad at how he passed, an ugly death. Yet I am thankful that he suffers no more, that he has now found his way back to the spirit, that he can rest now.
We use the waypoint to return to the northern forest. Fighting past spiders, cobras, devourers, and bandits, we take down all the aggressive wildlife in our path. We locate the entrance to the Dread Thicket to the west. Floating around this area are fireflies that glow particularly bright. We capture everyone we can. These may come in handy. To the west, we locate a shrine to Arakaali, a stone sculpture shaped similarly to a spider. It reads, "As her fury grew to blot out the sun, the mother's grief grew to eclipse the land. Gruthkul and her horde stampeded across the realms of Arakaali, crushing her subjects' blood and bone into the trembling earth. With her empire on the brink of ruination, our queen, our spinner of shadows, hatched a desperate plan. Feigning injury and defeat, Arakaali lured Gruthkul into the heart of a great cavern. There she entwined her enemy in unyielding silk, and then, with prodigious bravery and strength, brought the very stones tumbling down upon Gruthkul's antlered head, signed by the widow."
This Arakaali sounds like my kind of woman.
We continue through this thicket, gathering up all the remaining fireflies. Finally, we locate and enter Gruthkul's lair. As we enter, we see the giant antlered beast known as Gruthkul, the mother of despair. We take her down rather precisely.
Gruthkul! Thus I release you from motherhood's rage.
We speak with Sin.
The tragedy is that our world, our kind, may turn something as pure and honorable as a mother's love into such a vicious weapon of wrath and butchery. I only hope that Gruthkul will find her children, happy in her arms in the realms beyond.
There's no joy in slaying a mother, just a hollow victory.
Exiting the Dread Thicket, we return to the northern forest. We continue east through this forest until we locate the altar that Helena spoke of. We take Groost's necklace and place it atop the Asmeri shrine.
I was never one for eulogies, and I'm still not.
As we do, suddenly fallen Asmeri ancestors rise and attack us. We take them down and continue north, finally reaching the risen Vaal Causeway. Fighting our way through these old Vaal ruins, we crush every Vaal construct and undead warrior that we encounter. To the north, we find Alva.
I found a way to blaze a trail to the legendary temple of Atzoatl. A spell cast upon these ancient waystones, triggered by the blood of the Vaal. I've got some in me, you see. This spell will take you into days past. Once there, keep the portal open by slitting a few deserving throats. The longer you stay, the more I learn about the location of the present-day temple. Once we find it, we'll have all the time in the world to collect its many treasures. That's why we need to find the temple in the here and now. Be careful what you do while you're there, however. Any move you make ripples through time, changing things in this day and age. Well, what are you waiting for? Go make history.
We tell her we're ready to step inside.
Let's go.
She suddenly cuts the palm of her hand with her blade and squeezes her blood on top of the ancient Vaal waystone. Suddenly a time rift is opened and we step inside. We're taken to an old Vaal temple. This must be Atzoatl. We fight past Vaal constructs and actual living Vaal warriors and zealots. After defeating a Vaal architect and the remaining Vaal within this room of the temple, we're ripped back to the present time.
Good job.
We speak with Alva and ask about her past.
When I was young, my father gave me my first call to adventure by enlisting me in the employ of Dominus's navy. I used to love the sea. The way it smelled, the freshness of the air. But some stuff happened, and I returned to Theopolis, intent on living a lady's life. It was not meant to be, obviously. My lust for excitement brought me to the Reliquarians, a secret society of treasure hunters, funded by those cold and greedy societal upper crusts. I had my father pull some strings, and before I knew it, I was amongst it all, raiding temples and tombs across the land. But, well, you're an exile. You know how the Templars are. Untrustworthy is one way to describe them. When I came across a manual of Vaal blood thaumaturgy, I knew I couldn't let it fall into their hands. And it never did. Though that damned High Templar knew I was keeping something secret. And so, no longer welcome amongst the nobility, here I am. Luckily, there's a fortune to be made here, and a few of my old clients still remain loyal to me when it comes to spending what they have inside their purses.
We inquire more on the temple that we just visited in the past.
The lost temple of Atzoatl is said to be the most famed in all Vaal history and myth. Best I can tell, the temple began its construction in the final years of the Vaal Empire. The exact date of its completion has been hard to ascertain, as it occurred shortly before the events which brought about the civilization's extinction. Perhaps it is the fragility of the timeline that has made Atzoatl such a staple of Vaal mythology. Some say it was a place of darkness, home to the most vile of sacrifices. But there are others who claim the temple to be the birthplace of technology. Even our own is said to pale in comparison to what was being forged within those walls. Scholars today have even suggested that it was the treasure house for Queen Atziri herself. Whichever is true, it was bound to have been fiercely protected by fanatics and royalty alike. And if something's worth protecting, well, then it's worth bloody taking.
She tells us her struggles to find patrons after the destruction Kitava brought to Oriath.
Well, most of my market no longer exists. But I'm an adaptable type, and there are plenty of pirates, thieves, tyrants, and nutters who will pay good coin for my finds. I may just have to do a little extra legwork to find them.
Further north through the causeway, we locate another shrine to Arakaali. Engraved in the stone pedestal is this: as our queen's body was reborn, so too was her mind, awash with visions of future and past, She burst from the deluge, gasping with terror. She had seen her empire in ruins, her people ground into the dust, and atop her throne sat the children of Gruthkol, their long white hair fluttering in the winds of victory, their laughter as saw blades in Arakaali's heart. Yet as the vision poisoned her dreams, Arakaali poisoned the vision. Once, twice, thrice the children of Gruthkol fell, crying their crimson tears, and oh how their mother grieved. Signed by the widow. At the very end of this winding causeway, we locate the prized possession that Waylem spoke of, Kishara's Star. We enter the Vaal City. Skeletons, Vaal constructs, and more undead Vaal cover the entirety of this area. We make our way through the maze of ruins. To the northeast, we meet an odd gargantuan of a man who says,
"Approach, Challenger."
We speak with him.
"Greetings, Challenger. My master felt your yearning, your desire to be tested once again. Chaos bade me return to these strands of possibility, to the small span of days that you live over and over again, so that we may determine the capabilities of your strange existence. I truly hope you have honed your skills since last we met, for I have prepared new and deadly challenges to test your mettle. Push the limits, if you dare."
We ask him more about these trials.
"Long have I walked this world in search of suitable challenges. My master, Chaos, has charged me with this task. Many have attempted my trials in search of greatness. Scholars, criminals, heroes, and the meek. All have stepped forward, and most have fallen. The rules never changed for them, and the rules will not change for you. Bring only that which you can afford to lose, including your life."
The Trial Master tells us more of Chaos.
"My master is the essence of all that might be. He is the flip of the coin, and he is the roll of the die. Whether you win or lose, his purpose is still served. And yet, your chances can be influenced by your skill, by your intellect, and by your might. That is what fascinates Chaos. Skilled mortals can bend their chances in their own favor. For in the headwinds of the unknown, the arrow of a master falls more assuredly than the arrow of a novice. Show him your mastery, and he will smile upon you. Surprise him with utmost talent, and he may even laugh. Fortune will rain upon those who bring humor to chaos."
He tells us of Doriani and Atziri.
"I was once mortal, and I know how the mortal I once was would have felt about certain things. That man would have hated Doriani with a passion for bringing about the fall of the greatest civilization this world has ever known. Fortunately, I am no longer troubled by such attachments. Through the grace of Chaos, I now understand that all things that can happen, do. Even now, I am testing the might of another survivor who washed up on Rayclast instead of you, and to her, you are dead. All that you accomplish is meaningless. All that Doriani ruined was equally meaningless. The Queen represents an odd island of stability that Chaos cannot comprehend. Almost all events come laden with possibility, but the history of her existence is a single unbroken course. There is no world, real or imagined, where Atziri did not lead our people to ruin. She gazes into a mirror still, somewhere beyond the reach of my master, in a place of crimson madness and nightmare. My master adores the uncertainty of chance outcomes, but he abhors cosmic enigmas with no clear answer, especially when such enigmas seem to possess the power to impress determinism upon the fabric of existence.
He speaks of something called the anathema.
My Lord Chaos has often felt there is a sinister force lurking in the unknown mists of raw creation that seeks to oppose him. It does not show itself. No, it is a cowardly impulse, one that subtly tangles the threads of fate to bring together mortals in each era for the purpose of order, a cold conflict that has raged eternal. With only one exception.
We ask what that exception might be.
It is not so simple a thing to determine whether a being serves order or chaos. These two impulses suffuse all who possess a will of their own. Some more than others. This perverse opposition has fueled the inner struggle of living beings since the beginning of time, and will continue to do so until its end. However, there is one thing upon which both inclinations agree. In the eyes of chaos, there can be no amusement or unlikelihoods in a dead world. And, while such a realm would be perfectly ordered, there would be no one left to enjoy the supposed fruits of such a domain. I am not certain that order exists as a thinking being like chaos does. But the forces that serve both have agreed to a narrow alliance against a rather existential crisis. We, and I shudder to use that word, we, already sacrificed all we had to buy this world one stay of execution. It only cost the lives of my entire people and everything they ever built. The decaying temples and cities of the Vaal Empire are not rotting monuments to hubris. They are a legacy. A silent reminder of what was given so that the other peoples of Rayclast might survive. What will you sacrifice when the moment comes?
We inquire about the existential crisis that occurred.
Best you don't know. You'll fight on to the bitter end so long as you never realize the truth. Who knows, you might even win. Out of all the countless possibilities, it has happened. Once. All it took was the death of truth itself, the creation of a world of perfect order with no free will and no chaos. Needless to say, that route to survival is unacceptable, both to my master and to mortals such as yourself. It will not be repeated. Hopefully.
Lastly, we ask the Trial Master about the beginning and end of time.
Oh, I'm only a couple of thousand years old. If you want to know more about the beginning of time, you'll have to ask the Titans. Well, Titan. Or that insufferably cryptic owl, if you don't mind paying such a horrible price. I eagerly await the end in any form, if it exists. It is my only chance of escape. Until then, not even death can save me from servitude. I have escaped 1,000 different ways, and every time, chaos just brings me back from the paths in which my escape failed. I need all paths to end, if I am ever to rest.
We accept their challenge and survive as long as we can against the trial beasts that he summons. After collecting our rewards, we continue exploring the remainder of the ruins. Further west, we locate another shrine to Arakaali. This one reads, "Our great goddess, we worship her, and in so doing we may become her, healer of hearts, Arakaali. With the juices of lust and the venoms of the spider, she brought many back from the brink of death. Only she was worthy to rule. The porcelain queen, Gruthkol, disgraced my ancestors, drained them with drought, starved them with famine, blighted them with plague. It was justice and truth that my ancestors shattered the Porcelain Queen's reign and brought our Messiah to power. Signed once again by the Widow. Finally reaching the center of this ruin through the winding maze of stone walls, we reach the entrance to Arakaali's temple and find Yina waiting for us here. The entrance is entirely covered by a thick web that we can't get through. We speak with Yina.
Fireflies, so bright and juicy with flame. Now for the rite. I warn you. Stand back and be not afraid of what you see. And be not afraid for me. The spirit guides and protects. Though I may change, I shall still be, will always be, Yina.
Through the use of these magical fireflies, she suddenly becomes a fox engulfed in flames. With her flames, Yina burns down the sticky webbing covering the entrance to the temple. The way is now open. On a pedestal near the entrance is a freshly written love letter.
Your soft whispers beneath earth tingle my skin, like breath of lava against my loins. I sleep not. I hear your name inside my skull. Arakaali. No name tasted so sweet on my tongue. Stories I have heard, tales of cursed beauty, visage of woman, jewel that walks the streets in final days of a great empire. Heard tell you sought victims, but I know truth. You sought man to love you, to break spell. You hoped true love might allow you to shed 8-leg body, to become goddess of love once more. I pledge myself to you, my lady of Vaal. I promise love, for I am that man you have waited on. Corrupt corpse lovers claim to worship you, call you spinner of shadows. But you have spun only shadows of desire about my heart. Sweet Arakaali, I have found your altar. I will speak the call. I will return you to beauty. I will raise you from black pits of despair, and together we shall rule Rayclast in glory. Forever.
Before we step inside the temple, we return to the Bridge Encampment to speak with our friends. We speak with Whalem about our findings.
So, this is Kishara's famed star? Just as I reckoned. It won't point me in any one direction. It can't make up its mind. I suspect you to me not being able to make up mine. I feel a tremor of prophecy coming over me, like some scallywags just stomped over my grave. If I go see Lily, there's to be only disappointment and sorrow. Well, if that's what the future has in store, then it can keep it. I wish a long and vibrant life for the girlie. One free of the trouble that an old dead buccaneer like I might bring upon her.
We tell Eramir of our slaying of Gruthkol.
So the grieving mother sleeps once more. Her story has come to fascinate me, and your conquest of her makes for a satisfying dramatic climax, don't you think? I'm but an old man living vicariously through your life. As history seems intent on repeating itself, I should record it in a book. An historical account of the goddess Gruthkol and the legendary champion who defeated her. Yes, the title needs a bit of work, but it will suffice for now. Here, consider this offering as an advance on the royalties we shall reap post-publication.
We ask about the Vaal City ruins we traveled through.
While they were highly advanced in their technology, the Vaal were rather brutish in their social practices. I find it rather baffling to think of the Vaal as a people who believed in science and progress, and yet constructed elaborate sacrificial altars in the centers of their cities. Judging by the construction of this particular ruin, I would say that the city rose to prominence during the reign of Queen Tetzlapokal, who some scholars refer to as a waif of disturbing proclivities. She was a devotee of Arakaali, and according to the literature had a deep fascination with mortality and the inert human form. The histories tell how the queen would request her subjects to deposit the bodies of their deceased loved ones upon the steps of her palace. The corpses would be promptly taken inside to be used for... Unfortunately, most scholars fell into hysterical conjecture at that point. At least I hope it was conjecture.
We speak with Helena.
I feel I have failed my poor Groost, not being able to return his bones to the resting place of his people. Still, we have done all we could, considering the circumstances. Groost was a practical man at heart. He would understand. You deserve our thanks. Here are some of Groost's most treasured possessions. I'm sure he would have wanted you to have one.
We waypoint back to the Vaal City and enter the Temple of Decay. A Vaal temple covered in webs. We venture deep into the temple through countless spiders, undead Vaal, and Vaal constructs. In the center of this level, we locate another shrine to Arakaali. It reads, "Our Temple of Decay was built so that we, her chosen, might sustain our great goddess. In her pursuit of the secrets that lust and life would keep from us, we, her followers, brought all assortments of venomous creatures and laid them at her feet. Yet it was the spider she most coveted. And as the divine energies wove their destinies about her body, our queen, Arakaali, was reborn. Arakaali the miracle, Arakaali the mighty arachnophage, a beauteous creature of immortal power and unfathomable wisdom, signed by the widow." As we continue through this temple, we locate sets of stairs venturing deeper and deeper.
This goddess of lust better be worth it.
On this lower level, we locate one more shrine to Arakaali. The etching reads, "Even as our courageous Arakaali forged the foundations of a new empire, within the ruination of the old, a fresh threat was born in the shadow of the mountains, a creature so devoid of divinity, so beyond humanity, that it drew the very essence from Arakaali. As the spider imbibes the life of the trapped moth, our queen's medicines had once sustained us. Now famine and plague ravaged what little remained of our lands. As the beast of the mountains grew, our Arakaali waned until helpless as a child. She lost even the faith of her most devoted, the Temple of Decay. I feel the shame for my ancestors as the spider's venom burns in my belly. When our queen needed them most, her people betrayed her, bound her in silk and left her to languish in the bowels of a pyramid, just as Arakaali had done to Gruthkal so many years before. Now she has returned, but it is not vengeance she wants. She is no mindless Gruthkal. Arakaali, goddess of love, wishes only to embrace the world as she wishes she had been embraced. Signed, the widow." Fighting through another army of spiders and descending even further into the temple, we locate the lair of Arakaali. As we enter, we see Yina in her Firefox form waiting for us. We approach the center of the room and see Silk.
My bride has arrived, Exile. I hope you brought a wedding gift.
From the depths, Arakaali crawls up and attacks us. Carefully dodging her webs and poison, we cause some serious damage to this overgrown spider. In her wounded state, she crawls over to Silk and consumes him whole to replenish herself. As she climbs back up the platform, we're prepared and put an end to Arakaali, Spinner of Shadows. We speak with Sin.
Many an artist of Esmerian descent has engaged in the sad worship of that sultry arachnid. But you looked in those hypnotic eyes and then ripped them out. She lies in her bed of sordid memory, alone. A little of the spider yet creeps and crawls in my palm. A touch more power for my subduer of gods?
If that was the goddess of lust, then I'm considering an oath of celibacy.
Yina has returned to her human form. We speak with her.
You hear that? No? It is spirit singing as does the fly who escapes the web. Yes, it is most happy with us. And with your strange friend there too. He is a god. Yes, I can see that much. But why he helps you? Of all questions, That one you must have answered to. Now I must return to Broken Bridge. So tired now. We will speak more of Silk and Sorrow then.
We continue towards the next area and waypoint back to camp. We tell Eramir of what has become of Silk.
Poor Silk. Like so many before him, Silk succumbed to a most insidious disease. Ambition. That craving for greatness. An irresistible compulsion to leave one's mark on the world. There's another name for marks like that. Scars.
Yena too grieves for Silk.
I miss my friend. Silk knew the spirit as I did. We would talk, understand it, together. Now there is no one but me.
And that's the end of Act 7. In this act, we've taken down many more gods through our mission for the essences of the Godless Three. Sin now has the essence of both Shavron and Maligaro. Last but not least is Doedri. Two of our Asmiri friends, Brust and Silk, fell victim to Ralakesh and Arakaali respectively. I can't thank you all enough for the continued support on my channel with this series. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more awesome content like this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.